which is
We're about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 line, seventh wide line.
on Yud Zion. Okay.
Amar Rava. So in the sugi of tzvaros, that when the animal doesn't directly hit the object, but pebbles came shooting out, or some, I think pebbles is just an example, and not that he kicked him or anything, but it would indirectly cause the damage. So that's Chatzi Nezek and some Chosos Nezek Shalom. We're going to talk about more subjects about that. So Amar Rava. Kol Shebezav Tameh, B'Nuzakim B'Sham Nezek Shalom. And Kol Shebezav Tor, I'm sorry, B'Nuzakim, I missed the word. Kol Shebezav Tameh, Kamma, B'Nuzakim B'Sham Nezek Shalom. And Kol Shebezav Tor, Kamma, B'Nuzakim B'Sham Chatzi Nezek. So it seems we want to tell you a klal, how to, like a rule of the thumb kind of thing, how to know when is it considered direct and when is it considered indirect. Of course, you can have the very extreme cases that he hit him with his foot, he walked on it, or not hitting, that's Karen, but he walked on it. And you can have the case of throws that it shot out and it was indirect. That's extreme cases, but there's some cases that might be a chiddush if it's considered direct or indirect. So he says, if you want to know the rule to learn out from, maybe Tyson says maybe it's not an absolute rule, but it says go to the din of zav. Zav is a kind of a tummy person that he's been tummy when he moves something. When he moves, if a zav moves something, so it becomes tummy. Other tmeim, the point is always maga, masa, ohel. Maga means to touch, so it means that you carry its weight. Here's the opposite: that the tummy is moving or carrying the weight of the tohar, and that's tummy by itself. Not always is a tummy. And here the Gemara is telling you, Rav is telling you that you can learn the halachas over there when by a zav is it considered direct, and when by a zav is it considered not direct, and it's going to be tohar. That's not considered that the zav had contact, had moved it. Means if the zav moved it, that's considered direct, even if he didn't touch it. Let's say the case would be that a zav had a stick and he moved something tohar. So even though the stick is tohar, the stick, whatever pshutik is, but if he moves something so that the object becomes tummy, and there's kind of a thing that the zav caused it to move, and it's considered not direct, the indirect that's going to be by a zav. Let's say the extreme case, if the zav threw a stone or something, doesn't even though it caused it to move, but that's not going to be tamei zav. It doesn't become tamei because the zav moved it. It has to be that he moved it directly, not that he touched it, but he moved it directly with a stick or something.
The sub has to directly touch them.
If he touches it, that's called maga. That's mamish touching.
If he moves something directly,
right? Directly, not by with a stick. Let's
he
say.
himself is a sub.
And now there's a Torah kli, and he had a stick that's not going to be affected. The stick doesn't become tamei, but he moved an object. He moved the kli, so the kli becomes tamei because the sub moved it, but only because he moved it with a direct.
Oh, and what?
Let's say he would have thrown a rock at it, and he caused the kli to get moved. Not tamei. True. Now the Gemara is going to take that, and there's going to be some fine line, maybe where is the break-off point, the gray area between direct and indirect. Not touch, right? You're not talking about touching the kli. That's not the subject, right?
He has the subject. He's
a zav,
and this is
a stick which is not susceptible to tama.
Susceptible to it, and it moves.
Right. So that is the case that the imam directly moved it. That would be considered gufo. And it's going to become tummy because the zav moved it. But if you would have, let's say, thrown the stick, he threw the stick at the cup, and the cup moved, but he didn't have direct connection. That's the word connection, and not direct the contact. That's maga. Direct connection. The stick. So then it's not going to be. It'll be like the throws. That's why the zakin is going to be considered tor.
If he blew on it,
if he blew on it, so we said before it's considered throws, and we said that it's tummy, and you're going to say that here by the zav, it's also going to be tummy. I don't know. Good night. Nice point. Tyson says over here that the klal is not going to be absolute, and I don't know, since it's not going to be absolute klal, I don't know what to do with the klal anymore. Tyson says, ain't that klal dafka? There's going to be cases where it's going to be tor, and by the zakin it's going to be tummy. So I don't know. It could be that Tyson will say that klal is not, but you're right. According to the formula, that should have come out. So the Gemara wants to say that there's going to be a chiddush over here. So if you take it, the simplest case is that the zav threw the stick, let's say, at the cup, and the cup moved, so the cup doesn't become tamei because even though the zav caused it to move, but it was indirect. Indirect by zav is not considered that he moved it, and therefore here it's going to be tzoros. That's what the Gemara seems to say. Whatever by a zav will be tamei, then zaken is going to pay nezik shalom. whatever it's considered gufa. Whatever by zav is tor, because it's indirect, so then by the zaken is going to pay chatzi nezek because it's going to be tzroros. But the Gemara says that's too simple. Rava didn't tell us anything. We know the extreme cases of direct and indirect. That doesn't need you don't have to go to zav to find out. But Rava tzroros slash mina. Rava is telling us that tzroros is chatzi nezek. You don't have to tell us that. Lo, that's not all Rava is telling you. Rava egla mosheches b'koron kamash malan. The word egla, some say agala, which means a wagon, but we're going to say koron is the wagon, and egla is a calf pulling a wagon. It could have said a donkey, it could have said a horse. Maybe it was more usual that a calf would be the one that's pulling the wagon. Kamash malan. So Rashi says one shot, but just to make it a bit easier, they'll say what they bring down from the Shita Mukabesa is an easier shot. What if a Zav is pulling a wagon? Rashi talks about the Zav sitting on the wagon. We'll say it a little different. The Zav is pulling a wagon, and the wagon goes over a Kli. Does the Kli become Tameh? Is that considered that the Zav had a direct connection to the Kli and made it Tameh? Some will assume yes, that it's considered Tameh. And that's the Chiddush. Rabbi wants to tell us that if by Zav it's Tameh, that's considered a direct connection, and it's not going to be considered Tzrovos. And therefore, if the animal, the calf over here, or the horse or the donkey, would be pulling a wagon, and the wagon broke the kalim, right, that's not going to be considered tzroros. It's considered enough direct connection that it's considered nezek shalom.
But every time there's another level of tumor, it goes down in rough.
That's true, but that's not our subject.
But
that's not our subject.
Weaker.
That's not the subject. We just want to know what's considered direct connection or not. We're not going to say that Mizakin has everything to do with tumor. That's not our subject. He's just telling you a rule of the thumb. Places that it's not such a rule of the thumb, so we'll leave that out. But let's say a rule of the thumb to tell you what's considered direct, what's considered indirect. Look to the din of so, if it's tumah yator, and if it's tor, that means that it's considered an indirect connection. The fact that the tumah goes down, that's not our subject. There's a case of tor. By zav, there's a case that it's not tumah. The zav doesn't affect it because it wasn't a direct connection. So if it's an indirect connection over there by zav, by nizakin, it's going to be considered indirect and it's going to be chatzi nezek. Not that nizakin has nothing to do with tumah. Just this one point, this aspect of being connected. What's considered direct? By zav, we have a point of direct connection and indirect connection. If he moved the stick, held onto the stick and moved the cup, or if he threw the stick and the cup moved. So that same guideline we're going to use over here to find out if it's considered direct hezek, which is going to be regel, and it's chayv nezek shalim, or it's going to be tzroros, indirect kochel, and it's going to be only chatzi nezek. So he says, look to the din of. So the Gemara says the regular case is simple. You don't need a connection. You don't have to make any rule of the thumb. But we're going to learn out this case of an animal pulling a wagon.
If the animal is pulling the wagon,
right, and
the wagon
ran over a kli, broke a kli,
then we're going to say it's regel.
Yes, that's the chiddush. Don't think that it's tzroros because it's indirect. The animal didn't do it, right?
Yes.
If the animals,
right,
so there's a chiddush that's not considered a package. A regular package is partial that it's regular. That the Brisa says the whole time. Shlif shaleh, prumbia, all these things. Yeah,
behind it, maybe you think it's
behind him, or that it didn't just right. It wasn't the animal itself that had a package. It's just attached to him. So you might think that it's considered, and it's not considered. The chiddush is that it's considered regular, so it's considered direct. Okay. They talk about if the wagon ran over the thing or that it knocked into it, knocked it over. Those are details that the Rishonim talk about, which case is going to be tamei by the zav. Comes out of big chiddush in Gemara that if a zav is pulling a wagon, Rashi again says the zav is sitting on the wagon, so it changes a lot of things. But to make it simpler, the comparison is that the animal is pulling the wagon and the zav is pulling the wagon. So it comes out of big chiddush that you wouldn't know when you learn Masech Zavim that when the zav pulls the wagon and it drives over a kli, the kli became tamei, even though the weight of the zav, usually the rule of the thumb by zav is if his weight. Yeah, and his weight was felt on the kli. Here comes out a big chiddush that the zav is pulling the wagon, according to this pshat, and it ran over a kli. That's called that the zav's weight, so to speak, was on the kli, even though the zav's weight was not on the kli. He does pull the wagon over it. So that's
why Rashi said that he was sitting on it.
Right, but then the difficulty is that the animal is not sitting on the wagon. The animal is pulling the wagon. So what's the comparison to the zav sitting on the wagon and the kalim under it and the animal pulling the wagon? That's a problem in Rashi. Right. So to avoid this problem, so other Rishonim say that the zav is pulling the wagon and it comes out of big chiddush.
It's the same thing though, right? The zav that's sitting on it can make a rishon, right?
That makes it tough. We don't have to go into that. It makes it tough because it's
pulling it. It's also going to make.
But that's a much bigger chiddush. Rashi, without Rashi, we would have. With Rashi, we could say that if the Zav is pulling the wagon, the Kli under it that I ran over is not tummy.
Right.
Because your weight is not on it. If you're sitting on the wagon and the
Your
wagon,
weight
so
is-
your weight is on,
But
and
if
not,
your weight is not on,
you put the
it's bigger hit is
yes, I wouldn't say that it's tummy.
necessary.
And if it's not tummy, and
Baba is saying it
no, and if
is.
it's not tummy, Rashi just talks about the Zav sitting on it. And you're comparing that to the case of the animal pulling the wagon and the
In
wagon
order
and
to make sure you know that it's tummy.
yeah, but so you have to say that it's tummy. Rashi will say that it's not tummy. Rashi just says that the Zav sitting on the wagon makes the Kli tummy. But if the Zav pulling the wagon, Rashi doesn't seem to hold that the Kli is going to be tummy. If so, how could you learn out to an animal that's pulling the wagon? You can also say if the animal is on the wagon, so then he roped the Kli directly. But if the animal is pulling the wagon, what's the raya? So what's the proof from a Zav sitting on the wagon to the animal pulling the wagon? Some of Rishonim say that the Zav here is also not sitting on the wagon, he's pulling the wagon. It comes out of big Chiddush that is Zav pulling a wagon and they ran over a Kli, so
Will
the
make
Kli
it
became tummy. So that's how other Rishonim seem to learn in order to make to learn the Gemara. And it comes out of Chiddush in Zav. So they will see it inside. The answer is, make it little, yeah. The answer is low. Rava, Egla, Mosheches Bekoran.
What does Mosheches mean?
Pull the calf pulling the wagon. Is he coming to tell us? He could have said a
But
horse
the
or a
bit
donkey.
is a prefix, isn't it?
What?
The base is a prefix.
Which base? Bikoran. You want to say Egla Mosheches Koran?
I
Okay.
don't know. I'm just
Yes, Bikoran. The word is Koran. Koran is a wagon. Like you go on the train, they talk about Koran. Which Koran are you in? And also the garbage, the garbage tractors. They say Caron. Karon.
Oh, Karon.
That's probably that's a wagon. So the calf pulling the no, it doesn't mean inside. It means he's pulling a wagon. Egla, there are different yourselves. Just something out the word. Something out the word. If you want, you can do that also. Something out the word Vikara. But the idea is that an animal, the horse is pulling the wagon. The calf is pulling the wagon. Kamash Malan.
And it knocked over him.
Knocked over. Some say that it ran over.
It broke it.
Zav
Say the Zav.
pulled it. Yeah, Zav pulled the
So
wagon.
then maybe it's also not that it ran over
Over it,
the
yeah.
tree, but it
Right.
knocked
That's a possibility. But we saw he said some Rishon, I think he said both Rishon. I understood. But that's the end of that Gemara. Kamash Malan. Period. Okay. Now then the more brings a brisa. The Rav is coming to tell us that that's also called gufo. We know that such a thing as stros. He wants to tell us that not everything is stros. If by a zav will be tamei, that's enough direct that it's considered to be gufo and it's going to pay nezik shalom. Tani kavasi the Rava. So it's going to be in a brisa that says everything we know, but it's going to say after the whole couple of lines, it's going to say again egla mosheches b'koron. That's why the Gemara used that example because the brisa says so that it's also nezik shalom. So we go through the brisa and everything is very familiar. An animal is regular if it breaks as it's going. Ketzad, we had all the examples. Everything we had already before. Many cases of regular, either it's body, it's hair, it's saddle, it's package, it's bit, it's bell, and a chamor that has its bundle that's on his back. All these cases that knocked over something and broke it is considered regel. But the Bryce has a one more case. Egla Mosheches B'Koron. It's also another example of regel. Misham Nezik Shalem. So we're happy that Rabbi Chiddush is true. That if the animal was pulling a wagon and it knocked over, and ran over, knocked over something, that's considered gufo. It's not considered strongers. Nice. Nugamara. Tana Rabbanu. A story or a case. Tana Golem. Jahayu. Mechatetim. The chickens, the roosters, whatever, were pecking at a rope of a bucket. There was a bucket that was tied to a rope, and they're pecking at the rope. And the rope snapped, and the lead broke, which in usual case would sound like, we'll start off with the first case, that it seems like that is suspended. It's suspended with a string, and he succeeded in breaking the string, and therefore the bucket fell and broke. Mishal Nezek Shalem. Pays Nezek Shalem. What do you think? Anybody have an opinion about this? Is it too hot? Is everybody comfortable? Too stuffy?
Good.
It's good. Okay. Shouldn't be too comfortable. Rabbi Miller used to come in before a lecture, and
all the windows.
in the winter he would open up all the windows before everybody came.
Right.
And one time I was by a shir, and he said, "Everyone, please close the Because they received tape recorders. Everyone had their own tape recorders in those days. He said, everyone
Expose your
please,
tape
tape recorders. And then when everybody closed, he said, everybody open the windows. And then he said, we came in Zoom. Okay,
Tarnagolim,
that were pecking at a rope of a bucket, and the rope snapped and the lead broke. Pei nezek shalom. So it sounds like pei nezek shalom on both things, on the string and on the bucket.
Oh, right. Sure.
So what do we think about that? You see anything to talk about?
well, first of all, where was this?
Okay,
Because
is it Rishas Yachad? Is it Rishas Harabim? And what kind of mazik is it? What did he do?
let's say that it was a Pshus,
Okay, let's talk
so
about
they're
what
not eating.
they're not eating, they're pecking. So why is he
They're-
pecking? What's the chicken doing? What's the rooster doing pecking out a string? You could talk about if it's not. You could say if it's, is it normal or not. Is that normal? Is it Karen? If it's Mishinu, then it's going to be Karen. If it's not normal, then it will be Karen. And if you only Chatzines, it says in a Showing. That's one thing to talk about. And the fact that the lead rope did it break directly? Is it considered throws? Maybe. What do you think about that? He snapped the rope, and then the thing fell. Or then it broke
Oh, I
on.
see.
So it sounds a little bit like maybe like throws. Maybe what to talk about. But it says here that it's Nezek Shalom on both of them.
And they were only pecking the string up there.
Pecked the string, and then the lead broke, and he's high for both. That's the simple words of the Brisa. And now,
like in the cowboy movies, he shoots the string and falls down on the guy's head.
So we could say, so what is the string? The string is, let's say the string is normal for.
okay, so then it says Shalom on the string. How about the
That's
bucket?
strong.
So I'm on
And
the
let's say
string.
it's like Sumfus and that was.
Oh,
throws.
okay, very okay. Well, okay, so you have a shot.
There you go.
Okay, good. We can close. Very
That's
well.
only one shot. I don't know.
Right,
It's not-
and we don't know. So let's bring it in as put it in the back scenery. We'll talk about some questions. We'll bring it up to bring it as a proof. But this is what the Bryce says. So the boy Bava had a question, which is not going to be mamash on the Bryce. He has a question. He wants to know. Nothing. He didn't know the Bryce. Dosa kli v'lo shebratu v'nisgal gal gel v'nishba mahu. How about if a person, an animal, nothing to do with the chicken, an animal walked on a kli, it would have broken, it would have been regular, but it didn't break. Rather, it rolled someplace else, and over there broke. An animal,
Something else.
it broke. It broke. It broke. He stepped on something, like the bucket over there, whatever you want to have. So he stepped on something, and it didn't break.
When it rolled.
It rolled and it banged into the wall, and then it broke.
It banged into.
The usual case of throws is he steps on the pebbles shoot out, that breaks the bucket. But here he stepped on the bucket, and the bucket shot out, didn't break it. When it hit the wall, then it smashed. But he didn't step on it, and looks a little bit like a question of throws. Maybe it's throws because it didn't break until it hit the wall. So if the animal throws, of course, if he does it, kavanah salhazik, then he kicks it. That's we're not talking about kicking. We're talking about walking regular, but it didn't break it, but it shot out and then it broke. Not that it shot out and broke something else. That would have been throws, but it shot out and it broke. It broke. So that's the question. Is it considered mahu? That was Rob's question. So this is his question. Do you say that you look at the initial throw? That means that
it was his
there
power.
was a connection between his foot and the cleat. So that was direct.
His power made it roll.
Right.
You know what we're saying?
Right. And that's what caused it to roll. Make cover means from the beginning. The opposite is
He powered it to roll.
and that's direct powered it. It wasn't like he threw a rock at it, like
Yeah.
throwers.
It's a
So that's
direct
they have a goof at you. According to that side, it's considered direct contact. And that's going to be a shalom. The other side is to say, Basar Tavamana Azlina. This is the second side. You go according. The word Basar means after. You go after a Korah. The word Azlina, here, both words are the same. His main Korah is the main thing. Here is going to be Tavamana. Tavamana means that the kli is broken. Mana is a kli. Tava is the break. Oh, Basar Sheva Kli Azlina. Do you go according to the time that it broke? Time that it broke, he wasn't connected to him. He only touched it in the beginning. By throwers, he doesn't have any connection with it. He just hits throwers and then they hit the kli. So therefore, sure, it's considered Chatzi Nezek because there was no contact. But here there was contact with the kli in the beginning. His foot stepped on the kli, and then it shot out. Didn't break it. It broke at the end. If you go according to the first initiation of the thing, so then it's his goof and it's chayv nezek shalom. But if you don't look at it, only when the kli broke. So when it broke, he was not connected to the kli. Then there'll be Chatzi Nezek. Whoever's question, innocent question.
Covered mana means a broken vessel.
The breaking of the kli. The breaking of the kli. Do you look
after
at
the breaking of
the kli? And when did that happen? When it was hit the wall, not when he touched it. The usual case is that the animal's foot steps on the kli and breaks it. That's direct contact, everything, mamish regular. And the other extreme case is Strohos, that he steps on Strohos and the Strohos shot out, break the Kli, no connection, no direct connection with the Kli at all. That's for sure Chazin Nezik, according to Rabban of some case. And the question is, here we had connection with the Kli, but it didn't break. It broke against the wall. If you look at the point of connection from the beginning, what initiated the throw, so then it was direct contact. So it should be Nezik Shalom, even though it didn't break until it hit the wall. If you look at the breaking, so then at that time, it wasn't any more connection to the animal, so it should be Strohos, then it should be Chazin Nezik. That's Rabba's question.
That doesn't mean it's a broken vessel already.
No.
And is it the same case as if the tarnicle would have been on the roof and he made it roll off? Then do we look at it as he made it roll off? And
What did he do? He pushed it off the roof.
Yeah, not pushed it off. He jumped on it and it rolled off the roof.
Yes, I think the same thing. Same thing. That if you say go according to the beginning, so then it was connection. So then it's Gufo.
You look at it that's broken.
Then it's only Kofa, not Gufo.
The same case.
Same case, I think so.
Okay.
Why can we not bring a proof to Rabba's question from Rabba? Usually when the Rabba brings a proof, brings from a Mishnah from a Brisa. Here it brings a right from Rabba. Rabba's Amora that's before Rabba, and Rabba says something that maybe shows what Rabba's opinion was. It says, people, not animals, people. A person throw a kli off the roof. Of course, if it's going to land, it's going to break. He's going to be chayim. But before it reached the bottom, somebody was standing there with a bat, and when it came down, perfect shot, so he broke it before it reached the ground. So who's is the second one the chayim? The second one who hit the mice, the one who broke it was a guy in the bottom.
It's a chayim.
It's
already broken.
Oh, the Amina, so he says Potter. The guy in the bottom is Potter. The Amina late one Tviyo Tabar, because we say that he broke. We say about the second one that he broke a broken kli. Mana kli shavur shavar. He broke a broken kli. It's considered broken already. So what do you see from Rabbi? The Gemara sees from Rabbi to answer the question. This case answers the question. If you go by a car, you go by Tava Mana.
It seems like you go by a car.
Meikar, that's what it actually says. You see Meikar because you say that's considered a broken kli, and the one who threw it off the roof, he's the one who broke it, even though it didn't break yet. But you look at it as if it's broken already because it's going to break. So therefore, what do you say over here? That
it's going to hit the wall and it's going to break.
And therefore, you look at it that's broken already now from the time that he had connection with his foot. As soon as he touched it, the animal stepped on the kli. That was the connection. It's already considered broken, even though it takes time till it gets there. But it's considered you broke it already. So the Gemara wants to bring it right from here.
But it seems like you have to have seen that when he touched it, he created a force that made it already broken.
Right, and therefore it's considered made Torah.
It's not already broken.
Right, but
hit the wall.
Right, but halachically it's broken because it's all made to be broken. It's going to be broken because of the act. So the Gemara wants to bring a raya made Torah. The Gemara sees to strengthen the side. You see, Basa made Torah as Lina.
Rava asked the question, and they said,
"Bring a raya from Rabba." Rabba said, "Rabba has an opinion." So the Gemara
was
his senior, right? I don't know how does it go, Rabba. One generation before.
Abba and Rava
were the next generation
from Rava.
So being a right from Rabba. So the Gemara says that you're right, right from Rabba. We do see the Rabba holds Basa make Torah, but Rabba wasn't impressed. The Rabba pshita, the Rabba mibayile. It's true. You do have a right. The Rabba holds Basa make Torah, but Rabba still had a question. He wasn't. He knew maybe he knew that Rabba held like that, but he still has a question. He wasn't convinced. So could bring a right from a Mishnah, from a Brisa. So the question is still on the floor. We do know see the Rabba holds Basa make Torah, but we're not sure. The question that you go Basa make Torah, you go Basa Tavamana. It's true.
It's still on the floor?
Because Rabba had an opinion, but Rabba wasn't convinced yet.
And if we go with Rabba's opinion,
then Basa make Torah.
This thing about the Tarnagoli.
Will be Chayv Nezik Shalem.
He's Chayv Nezik Shalem not because it's like Simchus, but because it was a broken.
It's called Gufo. It's called me Gufo. Your foot touched it. You tell
no, the string.
Oh, we didn't go to that yet.
I'm asking them about that. If we go with Rabba, we could say that it's not like Simchus, but as soon as the string broke, it's a broken vessel because it's bound to break.
I think the Gemara was going to say what you're saying.
Okay.
But the Gemara, when Rabba started, the Gemara, it was not going to the Bryce. He was talking a question, and the Gemara was going to bring in the Bryce as soon as you did to bring a proof. So we're on the lookout for a proof. Do you say Basa Mekara? Do you say Basa Tavamana? Tashma. Hidus and a muad, Veshama Mareza muad. That's a Bryce. Hidus. We had that means dancing. That the way that the Tarnagol dances around. So it says that's not a muad. If he was mazik by dancing, so it's not chayiv nezik shalem. And some say not muad, not a muad. And some say that is a muad. Machlokes. So we had the case in the Mishnah that it says it's nezik shalem. Is that true? It says in the Mishnah that's chazi nezik. I'm sorry. It says in the Mishnah that's chazi nezik. And we didn't understand Rashi told us because it's straw roast. So hidus means that it danced, but not that it actually danced on it. Here the Gemara takes the word says hidus. Hidus akadaitach. Does it means? Do you think that it means literally that he was dancing on something, and it means it directly damaged it, like he was dancing on a dough, like I said before? That's direct damage. That's for sure. No one will say enamur. Elalav hidus hidus. It must mean that it shot out straws. Okay, so hidus doesn't mean hidus alone. It means hidus v'hidus. That he jumped around and that's a regular way for the tanagal to act, and pebbles shot out from under his feet, and that's how it damaged. And machokis, if it's chayv or not, is it more or not? What can be the machokis? If it's surely be throwers, it surely be chatzin nezek. In order to invent a machlokus, it must be, you have to invent a machlokus now. Something about throwers, that's a machlokus. Let's say that in order to figure out the rice, it must be that the rice meant the case where it shot out. What's going to shoot out? Not the pebbles. If pebbles shot out, then for sure it's chatzin nezek. Nobody would say that it's muad. It must be that it shot out, it danced on the kli, and the kli shot out and wrote our case we're looking for. Rabba's case, that he danced on a kli and it rolled and it smashed against the wall. And then there's a machlokus if it's nezek shalim or not. So we found the brisa that's a machlokus. Your question about basa meikar, basa tavamona is a machlokus in the brisa.
He danced on the kli and it broke.
No, if it would have broke, then surely it would have been, that would be hidus, the way it says hidus. Everyone would hold that as nezek shalim. If he danced on the
Then I
kli,
thought he danced on it and it broke and then sure.
you don't have to make two. You don't have to make two cases. He danced on it. It just rolled into the wall and it broke.
Okay.
And it says the machlokes if it's a more or not. And we're assuming everybody holds like the rabbanon of some chatzin nezek. So why does somebody say nezek shalim? It must be that one of them holds that you go basa meikar, and since the rooster, the chicken over there, had direct contact with the kli, so it's considered migufo. So we found the machlokes about your question. But the Gemara says no, it's not a proof. Low, not necessarily. The hit is straw roast. He didn't dance on the kli, and the kli got broken when it got hit against the wall. It's a regular case that we said. What's happening? I'm sorry. How do I get rid of this? How do I just close this? Oh, okay. Hit the straw roast. He hit the straw roast. He was dancing around, and he hit pebbles, and the pebbles shot out. And it should be regular throwers. So how come somebody says that it's nezek shalim? There's some chas. You're right. Whenever you find nezek shalim by throwers, we can blame it on some chas. So it's not a right question. So we're still on the lookout for Rava's question. If it so we're still looking for a raya. So now we bring what Leib Yaakov wanted. Tashma. Second line from the top. Tana Golan Shalim Mechatin Bechaval Li, Nifsak Achevel, Nishbrat Li, Basham Nezek Shalom. That was a rice before that said that the chickens were pecking at the rope, and the rope broke, and the bucket broke. Nezek Shalom. Why should it be Nezek Shalom? Why is the Li not Sroros? It must be Shvamina, Basameikaroslina. It must be that you look at the initiating of the hezek, which was when the chicken was on the picking at the rope, but Shikmar looks at it, that's also like one remove. It wasn't on the kli, it was on the rope. But that's enough connected. The rope is tied to the bucket, and he was pecking at the rope until it broke, and that caused the kli to fall down and smash. And you see it's nezek shalim. So you see basa meikara. So what means it must be right from this, like you said, that this sound of meikara, like Rabba says, meikara would explain the price. How come it's nezek shalim? Because it's considered migufa.
What is the damage of pecking the rope?
Well, that damaged the rope, but they broke the rope. You're right. It's very good curiosity. It's a good question. What would you think it is? It depends if it's normal or not. Do you know about chickens? It is normal, then it'll be shame.
No, shame.
What is it doing it for? It's regular.
No, then it'd be regular.
Okay, good.
It can't be shame because
what does it do with why does it do with what kind of regular? What is it when it scratches his back? We understand that's shame also. Why should it do it regular? Regular means it's going on its merry way, and things happen on the way.
No,
the
it's
package
just
is
something moving, and its instinct is to peck at it.
Okay, the question what kind of instinct is that? But the Gemara is going to talk about it in a second. The Gemara is ignoring right now the rope is just looking at the bucket. Why is it chayav nezek shalom with a bucket? It's strovos. It must be that since the chicken was more connected to the bucket through the string, that's considered direct, even though it didn't break till it hit the floor, which was Rabba's question. Meikara or basa tava? What do you see? Go basa meikara. So it's a raya to the question. The rabbi's right, make Torah.
Mhm.
The Gemara takes it step by step and it wants us to jump up. It only means that it's chayv nezek shalim for the rope.
When it says you
When
pay
it's-
nezek shalim.
It says a whole story. It broke the rope, it broke the zli, it pays nezek
That's
shalim.
it.
It only means on the rope. And just a nice story that it broke the bucket also doesn't talk about it. So the Gemara it doesn't even go to that yet. First the Gemara says, "V'achevel meshunu." On the contrary, why should it pay nezek shalim for the rope? It's not normal for a chicken to peck at a rope. Because that's be Karen. The answer is the Mos Belisha, that there's some dough that is smeared on the rope. The reason why he's interested in the rope is not because of the rope, because of the dough. He's eating the dough, and as he's pecking at it, so the rope broke also. So we'll make a case that should not be Mashuna. It's normal to peck at the rope because there's dough on it. Why is there dough on the rope holding up the bucket?
It's the guy got his hands.
Because women wash their hands when they make bread. After they make bread.
After they make bread. Okay. Whatever the reason is, that was normal to have
They
dough
needed
on the
more
rope.
water to make the dough.
Okay.
They got the.
And everybody knows that there's always dough on the rope that holds up the bucket. And it only means that it's chayv nezek shalim on the rope.
Does mean that they have to assume that this don't work.
No, it's not to assume. In this case, there was. Yeah, I just want to make it a little bit not out of the blue. There was you're not going to take. It has to be something that's normal. That is, you can say that was the kelch my skin, and there was the. You can't say that. That's how I was bothered by. It says that it broke the rope, broke the kli, and it's chayv nezek shalim on the rope. And what happened to the bucket? You just ignore it. You have to say it's going on the bucket also. You could get out of the raya by saying goes according to Sukkot, like Leib Yaakov said right away. They saw the brisa that it says it's chayv even on the nezek of the bucket. You could say even though it looks like it's Roro's case, but Sukkot is talking. That's why it's nezek shalim. So the rope is nezek shalim because there's dough on it and it's regular shame. And the bucket is nezek shalim because it's straws, but it's Sukkot. So it's not a raya question. But the Gemara says we didn't see the whole brisa yet. This end of the brisa says first that it's not Sumchus talking. If Sumchus is talking, so let me read on to the Seifa. It says in the Seifa, if this bucket, what happened? The chicken was picking at the bucket, at the string. The string broke, the leaf fell down, and it broke. But now it says, so on the bucket, it has pen as a shalim. On the string, there's a shalim. On the bucket, there's a shalim. But if a piece of a shard out of this bucket shot out and broke another kli, the first kli that he broke, we said already is nezek shalim, and the second one is chatzin nezek. So we have two choices. One is because it's going to Rabbanan, and the first one is direct. The second one is indirect. That would make sense. But you said they're going to Sumchus, and he doesn't care direct. And both of them are indirect, and the first one is going to be nezek shalim because of Sumchus. So why is the second one chatzin nezek? Sumchus mi islay chatzin nezek. If Sumchus is the author of this brisa, she should know chatzin nezek even on the second kli also. So it must be the Rabbanan. And the reason why the first one is nezek shalim is because it's considered direct. Because Basam Meikoras Lilan to answer Rabba's question. So the Gemara is putting us in the corner. You have a riot that you see Basam Meikoras Lilan. You go according to the beginning. You could say that maybe even Sumchus agrees to indirect. If there's two steps. Maybe Sumchus holds this difference also. That he also holds that if it's a double step. He also agrees that it's chatzin nezek. Yeah, chatzin nezek. Even though kocho, the Rabbanan says chatzin nezek, Sumchus says it's shown. But kocho, maybe he also agrees chatzin nezek. But that's not true because Ravashi has such a question. He wanted to know according to Sumchus, do you say kocho is chatzin nezek? He had a question and he didn't know. But if you say the pshat that we're saying, so this brisa says according to Sumchus, kocho is only chatzin nezek. Tifshad le lav kocho dami. He should have had a raya from this brisa that it's not considered like kocho and it is chatzin nezek. Since Ravashi didn't know, that shows that he learned the brisa. The most being right from Ravashi that Ravashi didn't learn the brisa like this. He said the brisa is going according to the Rabbanan, not of Sumchus.
The fact that he asked the question
and he didn't have an answer.
And didn't have an answer.
That shows
maybe that Sumchus didn't hold.
He didn't see Sumchus in this brisa. He didn't see Sumchus as the author of the brisa and the differentiating between kocho and kocho.
But I thought never. How do we know Ravashi knew this brisa?
Good. And even if Ravashi did, so why can't Rav argue on Ravashi? I don't know. But maybe Ravashi was later, and therefore we're saying that Ravashi didn't learn Rava like that, something like that. But yeah, nice point. But the Gemara wants to say, since Ravashi didn't learn the brisa like that, so it's not going according to Sumchus, it's going according to Rabbanan. And the difference between the first kli and the second kli must be the first one is considered kochel because you go basa meikara. Well, at least Rashi holds that way. Elo lav rabbanani and Shmami no basa meikara as linan. So it seems to be as this is part of what we're still trying to prove that Rabbanan are the author of this brisa, and the first kli that broke, he broke the string, and the kli broke is considered gufo, even though it only smashed after it hit the floor. It must be because that's considered basamei karazlina. So we succeeded in bringing a proof to Rabba's question that Rabba's right. Rabba wasn't convinced. You see that this brisa also with Rabashi's explanation also is a raya that you go basamei kara.
If you wanted to say that, I understand Elalav, but if you wanted to say that it was, so we can see that it isn't the Rabban, how would you say it?
Elalav sumchazi, whatever the question is Rabbanan or sumchaz. So the Gemara suggested maybe it's sumchaz.
Elalav always means therefore is it not? Would be,
isn't it the Rabbanan?
but
like,
lav means no.
No,
so
lav means isn't it not? Is it not?
Lav always means is it not?
Depends what tune you use.
That's what I'm asking.
Lav Rabbanan. Is it not? Is it not the Rabbanan?
Okay.
Hello, achecha ro'im b'Shechem. Are your brothers not pasturing in Shechem? Whenever it says hello, it means are they not? Is it not?
It doesn't mean they're not.
Right. It means it's not. Are they? So is it not the Rabbanan? And you see Basamei Karazlina. So we have proven Rabba's question. It's not a proof because you could say that the chicken was going together. The bucket was being schlepped around from the chicken. It was going from him. Means that there wasn't the story. The whole story you understood that the chicken. I understood the price was there was a suspended bucket, and the chicken was pecking off the dough, and it snapped the string, and the bucket fell to the floor and it smashed. No, the case is this I got from Rabbeinu Charana.
Chickens and the chickens then.
What is that?
Is it that it was hanging?
Yes.
And then the string broke, and it fell on the chickens, and the chickens were bumping it around. And then
so it has nothing to do with the string, really. Then.
Right.
So
that means it bumped around on the chickens.
The chickens bumped it themselves. Chicken bumped it themselves. So I really think about it. Says that it's not suspended. It doesn't say beferish, but I think the idea is don't think of a suspended bucket on a rope. There's a bucket with a rope attached to it, which is very normal because you want to always have a rope. One use the bucket and it's next to the well. So you always have a bucket with a rope attached to it. And the chicken it was trying to eat the dough that was on the rope. But that caused that the bucket was flying around with it. That is, as it was moving around the string, because it was trying to peck at the dough, so the bucket also swung back and forth all around, and that's how we broke it. And that's for sure is not throws. That for sure is considered.
And it broke independently, maybe even broke before the string broke. Because it was, you mean like when you
could be
it was
it was being schlepped around back and forth, and the buckets were going with it, and he successfully at the end he broke the string. Let's pay for that, and it's not mashuna because there's dough on it, and the bucket got tossed around, but not because he threw it. He had a handle on it, like he had the string at the, and that if he takes the handle, that's for sure more considered kofo, gufo. That's not considered one removed, even though he didn't. So it wasn't throws at all. So it's no right to our case. So the Gemara is the end. The curtain goes down. The question was, is Basa Meikar Basa? So we have Rabba says an opinion, but Rabba doesn't know. And end of sugya. Baby boy, if you want, the causal minay. You could say the Rice is talking about that the chickens were pushing it.
Wouldn't have an answer.
You have no right. So therefore, end of sugya. Rabbi had a question. Basa Meikar, Basa Tabamana. We wanted to bring a raya for the price of the string with the bucket. We weren't successful to bring a raya. So Rabbi still has a question. Rabbi had an opinion, but he didn't prove it. So the case of Rabbi that the man on top threw down a kli and you go Basa Meikara, and therefore since it is broken, and the second one who hit it with a bat is butter, that's his opinion. Rabbi doesn't know. We do paskin like Rabbi that you go Basa Meikara. So the case of straw, so if the animal did step on the kli and it smashed against the wall, so it is chayiv nezek shalom, is considered grufa. New sugya. Boy Rava. Another question of Rava. Chatzi nezek tzroros megufo mishalem or me'aliyah mishalem. We know chiddush that chatzi tzroros pays chatzi nezek Allah Shemesina. How about Megufo and Me'aliyah? Then this was a subject spoken about before, at the beginning of the Masechta, that if Papa said that Tell the same Lav Kiyotze ban because it pays me aliyah. Did I get it right? For the saying, for the saying.
This is just
לא. זה חצי נזק.
like a preamble, right?
זה חצי נזק.
That is Chatzin Nezek.
It's a total.
Right, that's why it's Chatzin. It's a total now. And why is it called total the regular? Because it pays me aliyah. Why I said the Rabbi B'Safle? The Rabbi B'Safle, Papa Pshitale. Right, thank you. So, the Papa in the beginning of the Masech, the Gemara said does hold that it pays me aliyah, but here the Rabbi didn't know. Chatzin Nezek. Throws that pays me gufo. I'm sorry. That Chatzin Nezek throws. Does it pay me gufo or does it pay me aliyah? And the Gemara says the two them. Karen, we know, pays Chatzin Nezek me gufo. That's what. That's the given. Migufa Mishalim Glo Ashkan Chatzin Nezek the Mishalim Aliyah. That's not to say it pays Migufa is because you never find the Chatzin Nezek that pays Aliyah. The only Chatzin Nezek we know of is only Karen, and over there it pays Migufa. So to New Chiddush, this also pays Migufa. So it's also going to pay Migufa. The pay Chatzin Nezek also Migufa. Well, Dilma Aliyah Mishalim the Ashkan Koche the Mishalim Migufa. You don't find any case which is normal that pays Migufa. Only Karen, which is Mishuna. So the more doesn't know this New Chiddush that throws pays. Chatzin Nezek doesn't pay Migufa Me'ali, which would mean that the end, it's translated, that Migufa means that the roof, the ceiling of how much you're going to pay is only the maximum value of the mazik. So if the animal did regel and it shot out, regel would pay for Shomei Aliyah from the best, like the Gemara says, Me'ula. But if it was only damaging with throws, it's going to pay Chatzin Nezek because they're also a ceiling to the payment. They're not going to pay more than the value of the animal. Rava's question.
Soros is the Rabbanan, the whole thing. It's Soros.
No, I think it's the Raisa. The Gemara says really when it didn't Koch Gufa and Allah Moshe Messina, they only pay him.
Oh, it's okay. Well, so then wouldn't you know that any? So now the question is Hetzi Nezek always the same law for everything?
Right, and then it'll pay Gufa, just like or not.
Or is it regular?
It's a regular, and even though regular is normal, regular is regular, and that would pay Mi'aliyah.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
We had a Gemara before that said that Chatzin Nezek, the Hilchas Moshe, that was halacha that it's Mi'aliyah, but those words we said it's Bava Kamma, not the Halacha Moshe. Here the Gemara is the question: is it Mi'aliyah or Megufa? Tashma. So the Gemara is going to be the rice we brought before. And we're always going to try to use it to make a machlokas out of something. Always the Gemara is going to say it can be a raya because if it says this shalom, maybe it's something. Tashma hidus and amud v'yesham and amud. Same price as bought before. It says machlokas if hidus dancing, the chicken dancing, is it a amud or not? And the Gemara says you can't take it literally. Hidus like a daitach. Does it mean literally hidus? Of course, dancing is normal for a chicken. That's what they do the whole day. They dance around, and surely it's going to be a amud for that. Elav hidus for hidus. It means that it shot out something. Before the Gemara tried to say that it shot out the kli itself. To get into the focus before, the Gemara tries another try. Maybe Hakim of the Gi. Everybody holds that it pays Chatzin Nezek because we want to say we don't want to bring Simchas into the picture. We try to avoid Simchas. So if you say it goes according to Rabbanan, so surely it's Chatzin Nezek. So what does somebody say that it's a Muad? Muad, the more tries to suggest it doesn't mean Muad Nezek Shalim. It means Muad as far as Me'aliyah. That's what he meant to say. Of course, it only pays Chatzin Nezek. But he meant to say there is a word as far as how much do you pay Me'aliyah. You don't pay Megufa. That would have been a shot in the Brisa to make some sense out of the Brisa. Again, the Brisa, we have the Brisa over here. He just saying it's a very powerful Brisa. It doesn't say so much. We just see that you can't take it literally. It doesn't mean that Machlokas of Hidus is dancing around. Is it normal? Of course it's normal. That's not a question. You have to put something into the Brisa. So we try all kinds of tries. And the Gemara tries over here to say that it was question. Of course, it was shout out Shroros and wasn't Machlok. Somebody who's like Rabbanan that it's only Chatzin Nezek. Maybe the one who says Muad just means as far as Me'aliyah. That's what he meant to say. That it has the aspect of being a Muad as far as paying Aliyah. Okay, it would have been very vague in the Brisa, but maybe that's found in the Brisa. But the Gemara says no, it's not a right to anything low. You could avoid the whole raya altogether if reflect the flip to the Sumchas Rabbanan. It could be it's just Sumchas talking. When it says that it pays, it's a muad. It says it's a muad. Means Sumchas holds is a muad. And nothing, no right to anything. It's just the old plain strollers that Sumchas holds is also Nezek Shalim. So no raya yet. So we go further to bring a raya. Tashma. We're on the lookout. If strollers pays me aliyah on me gufa. Tashma. Kelev shenot al charora. V'halach legodish. V'halach charora. Bidlik es legodish. Ala Chavrom Misham Nezek Shalem, Ala Gadish Mishalem Chatzi Nezek. I think it's a Mishnah later on. A dog took a Charora. Charora was kind of a coal baked loaf cookie. It has coals on it sometimes. You bake this loaf or cookie on the coals, and sometimes the coal is stuck to the cookie. And the dog took the cookie, like he likes the cookies or this loaf, and he went to a gadish, which is a pile of a hay pile, a wheat pile, and he ate this loaf, which is normal, and the gadish got on fire. He took us a gadish. So what does he have to pay for? Because he ate a cookie, for though that's normal, that's shame. He pays chatzin for the gadish. Why? Why is the gadish chatzin? Why is it so? We don't see that anything's mishun over here. Everything seems very, very normal, I think. But the question is going to be because it was throws. There's some kind of throws over here. The more later on is going to talk about is the throws the fact that the achelas, the coal that was on the cookie, that fell from him, so it wasn't direct. You can also talk about even the fire spreading. You might talk about that's also throws. Maybe we'll get to that eventually. Is the fire spreading? Is it called throws or is it called gufo? But for whatever reason, it's the fire that got lit is called throws. So it says chatzin. Okay, my timer. That's the end of the Mishnah. And the Gemara explains why is the chatzin. My timer. Let's throws because it's considered throws. The fire, the coal that fell, the coal is the throws, or the fire that spread. Whatever it is, it's going to be throws. Fine. But now comes the punchline. The Brisa says in this case it pays me gufo. What do you see from there? You see that throws pays me gufo. That was the question. Where's the question over here? Boy, here's a brisa, Mishnah, that says a case of throws, and the brisa says you pay me gufo. Is it right? You pay me gufo. Nice. But the Gemara is going to challenge this proof. But over there, the Gemara doesn't bring it down, but the end of the brisa says that Rabbi holds the case nezek shalom gufo. The same case. We're going on the case of the Gadish. Gadish Mishalem Chatzi Nezek, but Rabbi argues and says Nezek Shalom. And also Migufo. What?
Also Migufo.
Nezek Shalom Migufo.
Well, it seems like that's a question. It doesn't really know.
Oh, is it possible to be Nezek Shalom Migufo of Throros? Which means the more thinks that the case is Throros. If the case is Throros, the question is why is it Migufo? The Tana Kamma says it's Chazi Nezek Migufo. So very nice. We found that was Rob's question. It's a legitimate possibility.
It's logical, or is it?
No. Is it logical?
Is it logical?
I'll show you that's not logical. It can't be. Because Rabbi Elazar holds over there, Pen Nezek Shalom Migufo. So just to slow down. The case was, maybe just to highlight the case over here.
Would be if it's
Is there such a thing possible? Is there such a thing? Do you ever find such a
that it's Roros and it's paying Gufo?
It says in the Brisa, and also says Migufo. You need all this together. The Mishnah said he pays half damages, and the one says because of its Roros, and it says over there Migufo. You put these things together, you have that's Roros pays Migufo. The one now is going to challenge that to disprove that it can't be. The pshat in the Mishnah with the Brisa can't be because of its Roros, and that's the reason why you're paying Chatzin Nezek Migufo. Because Rabbi Elazar over there argues and says Nezek Shalom Migufo. Nezek Shalom. Let's make something out of this. Rabbi Elazar says Nezek Shalom Migufo. How could that be? Miashkan, do you find that Rabbi Elazar should pay Nezek Shalom Migufo? In other words, if we say that it's Throros, this is the question at the end over here. Try to put this. The Gemara thinks that it's Throros. I'm not sure if there's a good line over here. Color. But one possibility is to say that it's Throros. And Tana Kamma says Chatzin Nezek Migufo. That passes. It passes to say that Throros is Chatzin Nezek Migufo because Throros is Chatzin Nezek. And now we're saying that Chatzin Nezek, Throros pays Migufo. Very nice. But it wouldn't. Rabbi Elazar wouldn't make sense because even if Rabbi Elazar holds that Throros is Nezek Shalom, as we know, there's such an opinion. Sumchas. If Rabbi Elazar is going to say in this halacha of Throros, it pays Nezek Shalom, what's going to be the pshat in Rabbi Elazar? Because it's like Sumchas. There's something that Throros is Nezek Shalom, right? Is there any tzad to say that Sumchas is going to pay Nezek Shalom Migufo?
First reason is
Well,
That would say.
it's saying we'd have to.
Eliezer, Nezek.
Nezek Shalom Migufa Miyashkafon. Is it possible to say that he should pay Nezek Shalom Migufa if you're
If it's wrong.
Sroros? If you say the pshat in this brisa with the Gadish, the reason why he's paying is because of Sroros. So Tanakama to make sense. Chatzi Nezek Migufa, good. But Rabbi Eliezer is going to say Nezek Shalom, but shouldn't be Migufa, because if he's arguing because he holds Sroros is Nezek Shalom, because he holds like Simchas, then Simchas Sholi holds Nezek Shalom is going to be Me'aliyah. Means when the Gemara started off, this whole question of Rava, that the Sroros pay Migufa and Me'aliyah, like the Gemara explained, the only reason why he says Migufa is because maybe you never find Chatzi Nezek Me'aliyah. The only time to say Sroros is going to be Migufa is because it pays Chatzi Nezek. But Simchas holds that Sroros pays Nezek Shalom, he surely holds that it pays Me'aliyah. There's no time to say differently. So if Rabbi Eliezer holds, if this is the case of Sroros, so then Rabbi Eliezer can say that it's Nezek Shalom because it holds like Simchas, but he wouldn't say Migufa, and over there he says Migufa, Nezek Shalom Migufa. So your whole shot is wrong. The shot you got in the Brisa, that's the case.
Would be more.
Right. And he would say Nezek Shalom Me'aliyah. So you got the wrong shot in the Brisa. We're not just saying Rabbi Eliezer doesn't agree with you. We're saying the Rabbanan, you got the whole case wrong. This thing that you said is Sroros is not true. Because if it would be Sroros, Rabbi Eliezer would not say Nezek Shalom Migufa. So what is the pshat? So the eye is off. So what is the pshat in this whole Mishnah? The case of the dog with the charo, with the coal, and it says the pays Chatzi Nezek on the Gadish, or Nezek Shalom on the Gadish, Migufa. What is happening? Ella Kagon, the Shani. They take out the word Baha. If you want, you can erase the word Baha. It doesn't, Rashi doesn't seem to have it. Take out the word Baha. And the answer is going to be, not like we said before, it was Mishuna. For some reason, it's Mishuna for the dog to have taken the coal. Not because, not
The coal, not the biscuit.
the fact that there's some kind of shini over there. The fact that you're right that the biscuit is normal.
He wouldn't take biscuits that had a coal.
Something like that.
attached to it.
Something like that. Does Rashi help us over here? I didn't see Rashi. Shenot lebefiv, veinicha. Okay, like you said, he took the coal in his mouth. That's not normal.
In his mouth.
Right. Now, if he had the cookie, that cookie part, half the cookie, and the other half had the coal,
That's normal.
that's normal. But he took it, the coal itself, that's not normal. So if that's the case, it's a new case. Shani, there was a shini over here. There was a shani. There was not the thrower shot, the shani part. And now, can we learn the brisa? Tanakama says Chatzi Nezek Migufa. Makes sense. That's a regular Karen, right?
It's a regular. Oh, it's Mishuna and it's Karen.
And that's why it's Chatzi Nezek because it's Karen, and it's Migufa because it's Karen. And Rabbi Eliezer makes sense. He holds Nezek Shalom. Why? Why is it Nezek Shalom? If it's Mishuna, does Rabbi Eliezer not hold that Karen pays Chatzi Nezek? Why does he say Nezek Shalom? So the Gemara has to explain it. So this is saying Yinuk Shat in the Brisa, the Mishnah, the Brisa. The case that is Mishuna. The case of the dog taking the coal was not normal, and therefore Tanakama says Chatzi Nezek Migufa. Why does it?
Excuse me, it's Karen because he took a coal and set something on fire.
And it's not normal. It's not
It's
normal.
not normal. That's Karen.
Right, and therefore it's Chatzi Nezek Migufa. But Rabbi Eliezer says Nezek Shalom Migufa. What's the sense in that? Why should Rabbi Eliezer say on Mishuna that it's Nezek Shalom Migufa? Rabbi Eliezer said, like Rabbi Tarfon, no, Mishuna can. Because Nezek Shalom Mishalem. We could explain Rabbi Eliezer because I was like Rabbi Tarfon. We had Rabbi Tarfon a couple of times that he holds that Shal Nizik, Shamazik, Bishus and Nizik. If you go into the Bishus and Nizik and do something with Mishuna, you do pay Nezek Shalom. So that could be the machlokas over there. Nothing to do with Sroros is out of the ball. We're not talking about Sroros at all. This is a wrong shot. The shot is really Mishuna. I must have machlokas Tanakam and Rabbi Eliezer. Tanakam holds a regular halacha that Mishuna is Chatzi Nezek Migufa. And Rabbi Eliezer holds like Rabbi Tarfon that holds that Karen Bishus and Nizik is Nezek Shalom. Now we didn't talk about what does Rabbi Tarfon hold about Migufa and Me'aliyah. But do we know what he holds about that? Rabbi Tarfon says that Nezek Shalom, that the Karen Chatzi Nizik pays Nezek Shalom. What does he hold about Migufa and Me'aliyah? Tom
is
Nezek Shalom in the Chatzi Nizik. If it's Mishus Rabbi, if it's a Mishus Rabbi, it's Chatzi Nezek.
Yeah.
It's Chatzi Nizik, so we hold the Rabbanan say also Chatzi Nezek. But the Tarfon says no. In the Chatzi Nizik, it's very chamor and Nezek Shalom. How about Me'aliyah Migufa? The Gemara is going to try to say that he could hold that it pays Chatzi Nezek even according to Rabbi Tarfon. Karen, the Chatzi Nizik, according to Rabbi Tarfon, pays Nezek Shalom Migufa. And therefore, the Brisa makes sense that Tanakama says Chatzi Nezek Migufa and Rabbi Eliezer says Nezek Shalom Migufa.
Where did we know that Rabbi Eliezer said Nezek Shalom Migufa?
It's a Brisa. And Rabbi Echananel seems to say he doesn't know where the Brisa is.
He said maybe it's like So now we're saying maybe.
Right. Then if it's Tzoros, then you're putting up Sumchis into the point. But that wouldn't help. It wouldn't help you because it wouldn't make sense Migufa. According to Sumchis, it's surely not going to be Migufa. In order to explain what Leslie says, Nezek Shalom Migufa, you must say that it's not Tzoros. It's really Mishuna. It has like a Tarfin. That has Nezek Shalom in the Chatzar Nezek. And he also has Migufa, which the Gemara doesn't bother explaining yet. How come that you're happy about? Why are you happy that Tarfin should say Nezek Shalom Migufa? If he owes Nezek Shalom, maybe it should be Me'ali also. But that the Gemara is happy with. The Gemara, like, stay tuned. The Gemara is going to take care of that.
But not so much.
Yeah, why? That the Gemara is going to go into. Why?
There's a top. He wants to give a little.
Okay.
Wants to give a little leeway.
So maybe Simchas also wants to give a little leeway because it's Kocho. That no. Kocho Kigufo. That's the Gemara saying now. But Simchas cannot tolerate it. We cannot, for sure, it only holds Nezek Shalom Yaliyah. But at the time that holds Nezek Shalom Mishus, it could be that it's Migufo. And the Gemara later on the base is going to discuss that. Okay, so at this point, the Gemara thinks that it's slugged up. It disproved the Ryan. At this point, he's proved that it's not a proof to our question. It's not Sroros. But the Gemara is bringing it back up again. The Gemara is standing up. We're going to re-erect the possibility that it is talking about Sroros. And it's going to be a riot that's Migufa. And you have to figure out why does it hold Nezek Shalom Migufa. If it holds like Sumchas, then it should be Nezek Shalom Yaliyah. So we'll try again. Velohi, it's not true your knockout. Right. Yeah, you don't have to say it's Tafin. You could say it's Sumchas. My title Mukas Lakavi Tafin Mishim Nezek Shalom. What was bothering you? The second, let's recall. What's bothering you? Tafin, it can't be Tafin. I'm sorry. Why did you say Tafin? Because Nezek Shalom. What was bothering you? Nezek Shalom was bothering you. That the Rebbe says Nezek Shalom Migufa didn't make sense to you. If it's Sumchas, it should have been Nezek Shalom Yaliyah. Therefore, he says Tafin. That's why it makes sense that it's going to be Nezek Shalom Migufa. But I have another shot to tell you. You know what I can tell you? Yeah, that part we knew. But the question was, how do you get Chatzin Nezek? So this is a new Tzatamus from Komamedes. This is Rabbi Yehuda's words. Rabbi Yehuda, we didn't have him yet. He said that the part of the tam remains in this place. Means a tam is the first three offenses. So place Chatzin Nezek Migufa. Second offense, Chatzin Nezek Migufa. Third offense, Chatzin Nezek Migufa. Fourth offense, what do you say? Nezek Shalom Aliyah, right? But Rabbi Yehuda has a unique opinion. He says that even though a muad on the fourth time becomes a muad and it pays full damages, but it pays another half. It means it remains a tam. It means the same payment as a tam, and you just add it on another half. But the first half still remains the same quality as the tam would have paid. So when you pay aliyah on the fourth time, you only pay aliyah on the second half that you have to pay. But the first half that pays Migufo,
Nezek is only Migufo.
even after you pay Nezek Shalom.
Yeah.
And we don't pass like that. We pass on that Nezek Shalom, everything. Nezek Shalom Migufa. The case would be $100 shore, gourd, and damage $1,000. $1,000 shore. So the first three times, how much you pay? There's $1,000 damage. And there's no $1,000 damage. And the first three times it pays only $100 because Chatzin Nezek would have been $500, but I don't have enough. I only have $100 worth. The group was only $100. Maximum he pays half. Maximum he pays $500, and even that only if the show is worth that money. If the show would be $500, you take the show, or $600, you take $500 because the damage was $1,000. You pay Chatzin Nezek $500, but the show is only worth $100. So you got a ceiling. You say I'm very sorry, but I only have to pay $100. First time, second time, third time, not a fourth time. Also, it damaged $1,000 and it's worth $100. So we say you got to pay $1,000. That's the halacha. But if he says no, Chatzin Nezek, 500.
Yours is worth 100, so you pay 100 for that.
And then the second 500, you pay 500.
That's 600.
So 600 altogether. But he says that the Satan still remains in this place. So what are we saying now? That really the case here is Stroros. The case of the Gadish with the Kelev and all that was the case of Stroros. And the Beleza says Nezek Shalom Migufa. Why? Because it's Sumchas who holds that Stroros pays Nezek Shalom. And what's bothering you? Why does it pay Migufa? The answer is that every Aliyah always is half Migufa.
Half Migufa.
Half Migufa.
So Migufa, no, that's half.
It only means half Migufa. That you pay Nezek Shalom. And the first half that you pay, half of the Nezek Shalom is going to be Migufa. So if this Gadish was $1,000 Gadish, and this Kelev over here is $100. So, but Tanna Kamma says that it's Shoros, so it pays Chatzin Nezek Migufa. Okay, whatever the number, big number, that should make sense. But Chatzin Nezek, total damage, only pay half, and even that only Migufa. And Abelazar says you have to pay Nezek Shalem. And on the first half, you only pay Migufa. Like Abu holds, that every time you pay the Nezek Shalem, the second half is Me'aliyah, but the first half is still Migufa.
That's simplest and Reb.
So often I read it together.
Simplest is saying Nezek Shalom, but it would be Me'aliyah.
Right. But even though it's Aliyah, the first half still stays the way every Migufa would have been.
Wait, we said Soros.
It's, we're trying to uphold the Pshat of Soros.
It's Soros, which he says simplest says it's Nezek Shalom.
Shalem. But they still want to be Shemi Migufa. Not Simcha still holds that when it's based Nezek Shalom, pays me Aliyah. But the one is putting in Abuda also into the formula that he holds that even when you pay Nezek Shalem, the first half still remains Chatzin Nezek. You're allowed to say it doesn't make sense. Whoever wants to say it doesn't make sense, could say it doesn't.
No time and
Very nice, very nice. Right, very good. That's the question. Right. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What does you have to do with us? David only talks about. So I'll say Levi Yaakov's question.
Yeah.
When you have a Tom, Karen, that first was a Tom for first 3 offenses, pays Chatzin Nezek. Then in the 4th time, oh, we got you now. It's the 4th time. The pay Nezek Shalem. Over there, Abuda says you're right. The pay Nezek Shalem. Yeah, only on the second half. The first half, you still have the pass of Chatzin. But that's only when you're talking about Karen that was once a Tom, then it became a more. This whole. But you're talking about Sumchas is Nezek Shalem of Tzroros, that it pays Nezek Shalem, there's no reason that to happen. Yeah, there's no Satam, but there's no Satamus. There wasn't a time that became a Mua. Yeah, so what are you talking about? That's the Gemara knows all this. The Gemara wants, I have a thought that when the Gemara, the way the Gemara is written, it doesn't want you to be laid back and say passive and say yes, yes, yes. It wants you to say it doesn't make sense. And the Gemara wants you to do that. It brings you into the Bismedish, and it doesn't make, then I'll explain to you. But the Gemara wants you very much to be involved. I just remember today, Noach Weinberg used to say that the Chazal, they wanted you to ask questions. They didn't want you to accept blindly, what do you call it, to follow blindly, blind, what do they call it? Blind faith. They want you to ask questions. They spoke in a way that you should ask questions. And the Gemara says sometimes that the Gemara would say something that doesn't make sense. They really didn't make sense. That's like Hadu, they just to sharpen the Talmud. And they didn't want a yes man, the way he says it. He doesn't want a yes man. He wanted to push a challenge. And the Rebbe would say something that doesn't make sense, and the Talmud says yes. And the Rebbe, what yes? What yes? I said nonsense. He say, as Rabbi Noach Weinberg say, into the lake, jump in, get out of here. If you of Noach Weinberg, he would say that's what the Rebbe would say to the Talmud. But he said the Rebbe would say something that's nonsense, and the Talmud would say yes. Yeah. And the Rebbe says, what yes? What yes? I said a shtus. What are you telling me yes? So this, I think the Gemara is written in a way that it wants you to see if it makes sense.
We seem to have a conclusion, right?
Here the Gemara is happy at this point, but the Gemara already jumps off. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Your question. When does Rabbi Yehuda say that you still keep half? When the time became a muad, so the second half you pay an end. But did you hear Rabbi Yehuda saying that you pay Chatzin Nezek Migufa Tamas Mekomo Medas when it was the first time offense? Here is a case that some holds that Tzroros pays Nezek Shalem, and he says Me'aliyah. So why should it be half? Why should it doesn't make sense? Ella Ki Kama Rabbi Loza Nezek Shalem Ki Gon Da'ayaya. The Gemara tries another try. The Gemara is going to come back to this in a second, but the Gemara tries another try. That you know why. Back to Rabbi Loza. Why does Rabbi Loza hold Nezek Shalem? You want to uphold this shot that it's Tzroros. And Tanna Kamma says Chatzin Nezek Migufa. Rabbi Loza says Nezek Shalem Migufa. Trying to figure it out. One shot we had was that it's the Meshuna, which Abtar for that went, but we want to try to uphold the shot of Tzroros. Why should it be Nezek Shalem Migufa? The answer is that it's already the 4th offense.
Fourth was
Tzroros. The 4th offense of Tzroros. More than Tzroros.
What does that mean?
It's certified clause.
I mean, it's a habit of kicking up,
Soros
when
is
he works.
regular, but Soros is always.
Regular.
It's
Yes, but the first
three
3 times it gets hot. So the Gemara is not going to Belaz. It doesn't know like something. He doesn't know like something. He always like the Rabbana. And the first 3 times it was Taka Chatzin Nezek Migufa. But the fourth time it becomes a Nezek Shalim, and it still has Migufa because of Rabbi Yehuda Tzal Tamas. If you say that there was a Migufa 3 times, and then it's advancing, then you can talk about that maybe it'll still remain the Migufa before. So now the Gemara is changing. I'll tell you, Abelaz holds like the Rabbanan of Sumchus, that it's Chatzin Nezek, but it's the fourth time already. So they hold that the fourth time it becomes Nezek Shalem because it became a Muad Litzroros, but then you still remain the Chatzin Nezek Migufa because Abu the Satamos. The Gemara is trying very hard to keep the Pshat of Sroros in order to prove that Sroros pays Migufa. That was the whole Gemara's question. The Gemara's question was, does Chatzin Nezek Migufa, does Sroros pay Migufa or not?
But here we're only going to say that it's because it's Muad.
That's why it's going to be Nezek Shalem.
And that's Nezek Shalom.
And the Megufa, and the fourth, and it's going to still remain the Megufo of the first 3 times, the Tzad Tamas, the Tam path.
Which would mean that Soros can become a more as a child.
Right. And this is assuming that even though the first time also was normal, like you said, the first time was also normal, but for some reason there's a Allah Moshe Sinai that's only Chatzin Nezek, a discount, but only has discount 3 times. Once it's the fourth time, then it goes up to Nezek Shalom.
And the goof, but we're showing that it would be
Migufa, yeah, we still have, right, we're still successful to say that Sroros pays Migufa. The kasha that you asked that the first time was also normal, what happened to the fourth time different? Rashi is bothered by this kasha, but we'll tolerate it if it's okay. To go with this pshat. Rashi has another pshat, but for the simplicity at least, that's how it more seems to me. So the more tries, Elik, you come up with Lazar Nezek Shalom Kgondayai, Uvaka Miflagi, we're still in the middle. Uvaka Miflagi, the Masav Yesha Dolis Rose, the Masav Im Dolis Rose. Tanakam and Abu Lazar arguing if it becomes a Woodless Rose. The first 2 times everybody holds that it's Chatzin Nezek Migufa, and the fourth time does it get up to Nezek Shalom, but still Migufa on the Tzad Tamas.
Was that back when, like in the Chatzar of this spring?
Right.
In the Chatzar of spring, and we kept something shot out and broke something.
To the fourth time already.
And already the fourth time, like
So the Baran say it's the same as the first time, and it's Chatzin Nezek Migufa. And Abu Lazar says the fourth time offense, Yesha Dolis Rose, it became now Muad, and now it pays Nezek Shalom. And Migufa on the first hand. So we still are trying to uphold the riot that Sroros pays Migufa. But the Gemara doesn't like this. Ella, if everybody's okay. Ella the boy Rabba, Yeshad all the Sroros, ain't all the Sroros. There's a famous Rabba that has a question he didn't know. Does the Sroros become a more than the fourth time? What we're talking about now, Rabba has such a question. And if you have this track, he asked if another question.
He asked about Migufo, and now he's asking, is
Right.
there such a thing as Heida?
Right.
Okay.
And it could be that
This a long time ago.
it could be he had both questions because he didn't have the answer. But the Gemara says if you have the answer to the first question, you should have had an answer to the second question also. If this is a raya, it seems the one is putting that Rabba obviously didn't know this shot because he didn't know if there's a dollar Sroros or not.
Oh, the fact that
he didn't know, if you had this shot that you're presenting, so he should have said it's Machlokas Abelazar and Rabbanan. Either Rabbanan ain't a dollar Sroros, either Abelazar yesh a dollar Sroros. If he had this shot, now the truth is he didn't have the shot. That's why the question in the first place. But the Gemara is asking, does this mean that he doesn't have hold of your shot because he had a question over there? According to your shot, he could answer both questions. That Sroros only pays Migufa, and Machlokes Yesh Adal Sroros in Adal Sroros. But the Gemara says you don't have to get involved. You could remain with a question of Yesh Adal Sroros, even though we said over here that the Yesh Adal in Adal. The Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara is going to go back. What's that? Or the Amalach Rava ki mei boili aliba lididi aliba the Rabban the Figele the Samchas. Amalacha ben the Rabban ben the Rabbi Lazar ke Samchas Milahu. It's very long. I think say it outside. The Gemara is going to say.
Thing was that.
Go ahead.
He was. Where is it?
Who would you like? Yesh Adal. Yesh Adal. It's Sroros. Ain't Adal. It's Sroros. Does Sroros become a muad?
Oh, but he was only going according to the rabbis?
No. The boy is asking, you going in the answer already?
Yeah.
So I'll say the answer.
Okay.
So far we got till here. That Gemara thinks that, what's your question? According to Rabbanan, ain't Adal Sroros. According to Rabbi Lazar, Yesh Adal Sroros. That's what he does finish saying.
Oh.
Talking Miflagi. So let's go back. But we're really juggling with two pshatim in this brisa. This brisa said that the Mishnah with the brisa that the Golish pays Chatzi Nezek Migufo, and the Belazar says Nezek Shalom Migufo. That's what the brisa says. And we're trying to figure out what is this, if it means Stroros. So we have pshat, we have a right that pay Migufo, and let's figure out why the Belazar says Nezek Shalom. One pshat was to say Yesh Adol with Stroros. Yesh Adol with Stroros together with Rav Yehuda Satamis Mukom Omedes. The other pshat was Rabbi Tarfon. We said it can be Meshuna, and it's Rabbi Tarfon that it pays Nezek Shalom, and nothing to do with Sroros. It's not going to be Sroros. It's going to be Meshuna, and that's the reason that it's Chatzi Nezek Migufo, regular Karen, and Rabbi Lezer have a sort of Rabbi Tarfon that Karen Meshus Nezek pays Nezek Shalom Migufo. That's what we said before. And all the Gemara is going to say now is that don't ask the Kasha and Rabbi because he held it out a possibility, which makes sense. Rabbi didn't know both questions. He didn't know if it pays Migufo, and he didn't know if it's Adol or Sroros because he didn't hold your pshat. Your pshat, this pshat that Sroros over here would be a riot to 2 points. There'll be a riot that Sroros pays Migufo, and it'll be a riot that Yesh Adol Machlokas Yesh Adol Sroros ain't Adol Sroros. If you bring, and if you say out of pshat, you don't have right to anything. That is talking about Meshuna. It's talking about Meshuna and it's Rabbi Tarfon, who also Rabbi Tarfon that it's Nezek Shalom. So no riot. In case that's all the Gemara is going to say. In short, that's all the Gemara is going to say now. Rabbi had the what?
It's nothing to do with
Nothing to do with has to do with Meshuna, and no riot to either question about. The Gemara says it very long. The Gemara could have said, "I told you already that it's not a possibility," and Rabbi doesn't hold with this shot, and therefore he had a question. In fact, he had 2 questions. He didn't have. The Gemara can't ask a question. Why did I answered the first question? Why do you have a second question for? I had the first question. You see, I didn't know this shot. So that's what the Gemara is going to say in short. But it takes about 15 lines to say it. Why? I'm not sure.
15.
About I think so. The Gemara is going to say here, the Gemara is going to go on. And the Gemara's answer is how long is it going to go down to? Let's see. It's going to read all this. Yes, we know this. But the Gemara is going to explain a little bit more than it didn't do till now. And to get until here. That's going to be the end of the sugya today. The next time. The Amar Tzroros Nezek Shalem Mishalem. The time of my Amr Rabban and Chatzi Nezek. The Shani V'lo Yayin. Of the Flukta, the Rabbi Tarfon, Rabban Kamiflugma. My question was Rob's question about Yeshadol and Sroros, Yeshadol and Sroros. That was according to Rabban who argue on Samchus. Yeah, that we know. That what? That if he becomes a more than the 4th time. Abalacha. This is nothing to this is questionable. This I don't get. This I'll put in parentheses even while maybe tomorrow my Chavus will explain to you what it's saying over here. I'm not sure. They put this all in parentheses. The time of my you know what the reason is Chatzi over here? The Shani because it was Kevin. This is the main answer. That here's Meshuna, which is what the first terrace in the Gemara was. That was Meshuna, that the terrace in the Gemara said before. And it's not Lo Ayayid. It's not a more. And what's the machlok? It's Rabbi Bava Kamma and Rabbi Lezer says Nezek Shalom. Bava Kamma says Chatzi Nezek Migufo. Rabbi Lezer says Nezek Shalom Migufo. What are they arguing about? Like I said before, they're arguing up Tarfon knows that Chatzi Nezek pays Nezek Shalom. And the Gemara wasn't bothered before that it pays Migufo, which we said we'll hold on to. And here we are. Now we have arrived. The Gemara really, without these 2 lines, which I don't understand yet, the Gemara says that the pshat in this brisa is going nothing to do with Sroros. Or Sroros according to Samchus. But that wouldn't be a reason why it pays Chatzi Nezek. The reason it pays Chatzi Nezek Migufo is because it was Shani. And why is it Belaz hold that Nezek Shani? Because it was like a Tarfon, that was Chatzi Nezek. And it's not a problem that he holds Migufo. And before the Gemara didn't explain it, now the Gemara is going to trouble to explain why does a Belaz hold, why does a Tarfon that he says Nezek Shalem, but Nezek, but he still holds it as Migufo. There goes the Gemara now, which the Gemara didn't explain before. Just to see Tais over here. Tais says these few words. This is what the Gemara said before. Before the Gemara wasn't so elaborate, it's going to be elaborate more than it was before. And then Tais says the Kasha that tomorrow we'll find out why is it ring about Simchas over here. That's in Toma. So we'll see tomorrow, B'ez Hashem. But just for today, what does the Gemara say? But the aim of the Shamad later of Tarfin is Shalem Mishalem. Migufa Mishamad. Where do you get this thing that Rabbi Tarfin holds you pay Migufa Nezek Shalem because Nizik you pay Nezek Shalem. So why should he say that he pays Migufa? He should also pay Me'aliyah. The same way he says you pay Me Nezek Shalem. Maybe it should be for the same reason. Also should pay Me'aliyah. And here the Gemara goes into the subject later on, which we didn't do yet. Then it's going to be in the Chapei, I think. It'll take time till we get there. And once we get there, we'll have to go back to see what the Gemara says here. Up here, it's simple. Once we have that, it'll be simple over here. But the Gemara over there says, how come Rabbi Tarfon holds that Nezek Shalom pays Nezek Shalom? Where does Rabbi Tarfon get to learn that Karen B'chatzar Nezek pays Nezek Shalom? Karen B'shus Rabbim. He learns it out from Karen B'shus Rabbim that pays Chatzi Nezek. Kal that Karen B'shus Nezek pays Nezek Shalom. Which we would say doesn't make sense. What kind of Kal V'chomer is that? Usually Kal V'chomer only says, whatever you have, you have. It was saying,
excuse me, is it saying Karen in Rosh Hashanah is Migufo?
yes, right. And
Chatzin
Nezek Migufo. And therefore,
and the Kal V'chomer
Chomer says you therefore Kal V'chomer you pay in the Chatzar Nezek Shalom Migufo. Right. And the Migufa part is good. Over there, pay Migufa, you also pay Migufa.
Yeah.
And therefore, Dayo Levomiladin, Lios Kanada. Enough. Dayo means Dayo to the Bomiladin. Bomiladin means the thing which is learned out of the Kal V'chomer. The din is a Kal V'chomer. The drush of the Kal V'chomer is called the din. And Bomiladin means the thing you learn out of the Kal V'chomer. Dayo means that it's enough. It's enough for the thing which is learned out of the Kal V'chomer to be like the thing you're learning out from. Means when Migufa. But the Gemara says, Rav doesn't hold to that because you see that he holds that if Karen pays, Shusra pays Chatzi Nezek, Kal V'chomer and Chatzi Nezek, he pays Nezek Shalom. So he doesn't hold it. He doesn't hold this concept called Dayo. He says you're allowed to make a Kal V'chomer and even go more than the original ones.
Because it doesn't. How do we know it doesn't?
Because he says he pays Nezek Shalom. He says Karen B'chatzar Nezek pays Chatzi Nezek. So Karen B'chatzar and Chetzar B'shus Rabbim Mazar. Karen B'shus Rabbim pays Chatzi Nezek. So Kal V'chomer Karen B'chatzar Nezek should pay Nezek Shalom, which we would say doesn't make sense. But he holds it does make sense. He doesn't know that this limiting factor called Dayo. Dayo is like a ceiling. You can't go more than the original one. Ruvain is as strong as Shimon. Whatever Shimon could do, Reuven is stronger. Reuven is stronger than Shimon. Whatever Shimon could do, Reuven could do.
And Rabbi Hanson says he can do more than
He can do even more than that. So if Shimon could do, Reuven could do more.
he learns style.
So here the Gemara is saying he does hold of Dayo.
But how do we know?
No, we don't know it. Because what I'm saying, because that's the reason why he holds Migufa.
That's right.
We're trying to figure out why is Tarfon saying Migufa? There's a chiddush over here that we said Rabbi Elazar holds like a Tarfon, and it says Migufa.
I thought the Mikufa was sort of like a dial.
It is, but the Gemara is asking who told you Tarfon holds of that? On the contrary, Rabbi Tarfon should hold that Ken Bishus and Nezek pays Me'aliyah.
I see.
As the Gemara said, because Rabbi Tarfon less Dayo, and that's why he's allowed to learn on Nezek Shalom, so he should hold the Me'aliyah also. The answer is Ki less Dayo Echad Mifach Kal V'chomer. Echad Mifach Kal V'chomer is like Dayo. One does Rabbi Tarfon hold that you don't say Dayo. When if you're going to say Dayo, you didn't get anything out of the Kal V'chomer. That's going to be a sugi later on. That Rabbi Tarfon has a yisod that every Kal V'chomer has to give you something. If the Kal V'chomer doesn't teach you anything, it's not worth anything. Every Kal V'chomer has to be worth something. We wouldn't say such a logic. We have to get to that sugya. That every Kal V'chomer has to teach you something. If it doesn't teach us,
it means like to tear down.
right. If the Dayo is going to make that the Kal V'chomer is not worth anything, so then you don't say Dayo. Reuben is stronger than Shimon. Whatever Shimon can do, Reuben can do. To say, and the fact that he could do what Shimon is equal to what Shimon could do, he could pick up one table. I don't need to learn out that I could see Reuben picked up one table. I have another source to know Reuben can pick up one table.
So then
I'm going to learn out that Reuben can pick up two tables.
Yes. And
If I switch to do one table, Reuben I see is much stronger. He can even do two tables. Usually we say Dayo, you're not eligible to learn out more than the original one. But with that you could, if the Kal V'chomer is not going to teach you anything.
if I could learn that he could pick up two tables, then there is a dial. Then I can,
No, if I
This is
have no,
Kal
if I
V'chomer.
have no way, again,
It says Loma free.
Echad Lomid for Kal V'chomer is Dayo. If the Kal V'chomer is not going to be useless, so then he does hold that you don't learn the Kal V'chomer more than it's
He
worth.
would learn that he could pick one.
Then it's worth something.
Then it's worth something.
Then I do say Dayo. So here he learns out Karen B'chatzar Nizik from Karen B'shus Rabbim. He does. That's where he learns out from. So is it worth anything to say that Karen B'chatzar Nizik pays Chatzi Nezek Migufo? That you don't need. You don't need a drasha for that. You know it by himself. So you have to learn something. So what are you going to learn? We learn how to pay Nezek Shalom. And you don't say Dayo. You don't put the cap on it. You say, if in the Rishus Rabbim pays Chatzi Nezek, B'chatzar nizik, it pays nezek shalom. Now you want to know, does it pay me aliyah megufo? So you're going to say dayo. You're going to say you're going to say that it pays even me aliyah dayo. So you say then the word kal v'chomer is not worth anything? No, it was worth something. I learned that it pays nezek shalom. Once you learned out something from the kal v'chomer, then you are limited by dayo. You take off the dayo cap if you won't learn anything out. But once you learn something out, then you have to put the dayo cap on.
So again, what did he learn out?
That you pay nezek shalom
Where?
by chatzar nezek.
In Hutzar? And there's
Well, Karen, chatzar is just a rabbi pays chatzar nezek. Ken chatzar nezek, you make a kal v'chomer that alone pays him nezek shalom. Now you want to learn that it pays me aliyah. We say no dayo. Since you're learning out from
because we
Karen,
didn't want freak because it was a good.
kal v'chomer did something for us, which is not so clear over here. So later on, once we get there, this will become simple. But what did the Gemara say? The Gemara just reviewed the dichut that we said before. Just to sum up the sugya, we finished. The question was the question was if Shvoros pays Meguf for me aliyah. That was Rava's question. The Gemara brought a right from this brisa, and if you learn that it says a very strange thing, Kaddish with the pays Chatzi Nezek Megufa, and that would be a right that Shvoros pays Megufa. The Gemara said not a raya, because you could say that it's Mishuna, and it goes according to Mechokes of Tarfin that says that it's Nezek Shalom Megufa is because also of Tarfin, and it was B'chasar Nezek. Mishuna because Chasar Nezek pays according to Tarfin Nezek Shalom Megufa, which is more just explain now because you have a Kal V'chomer and you learn out that it's Nezek Shalom, but they say Dayo that it doesn't pay more than Megufa. And Tanakama says we're not Tarfin, even Chasar Nezek also pays Chasar Nezek Megufa, and has nothing to do with Shrover, so it's not a right to our question. But Robert to say there is a raya, it's talking about Shroros, and Tanakama says Chatzin Nezek Migufo because that's what Shroros pays, Chatzin Nezek Migufo, and Abulas says Nezek Shalom Migufo because it is it was the fourth time already, and he holds that Shroros gets upgraded from Chatzin Nezek to Nezek Shalom on the fourth time, but it still remains Migufo because of Tzatan was from Koma Medes. And we still need to explain Tosfos tomorrow how come the Gemara has to say it holds like Sumchus over there. The Chorah is not doing Sumchus, that's hold like Rabbanan, and it's I get stuck. You have to say Sumchus Nezek Shalom.
We get a total.
I lost my train of thought. We're talking about Sroros. Tanakama says Chatzin Nezek Migufa, but Belez says that it was more. Once you say more, that's the reason why it's Nezek Shalom. Why do you have to bring in Sumchus for? So this part I didn't get. But more or less that was the Gemara's raya, and the Gemara says it's not a raya because you could say that it's Rabbi Tarfon. So to sum it up, this question the Gemara didn't have an answer for. Does Sroros pay Migufa Me'aliyah? The Gemara doesn't know. Rapapa did have an opinion. Like the Gemara, we said that the Rapapa on the Kimmel said it pays Me'aliyah, but Rabbi doesn't know. And the Gemara tries to bring a raya, still doesn't know. Everybody sleep tonight. Okay. Yeshikov. Thank you. Thank you.